think it's fair to say that behavior change is hard. I know whenever I look at creating a new behavior in my day-to-day life, there's definitely a part of me that pushes back in a big way. As humans, we like what we know. We are patterned creatures, and man, do we love our patterns. Even more so when the patterns are easy and in the short term, they make us feel good. Sleeping in a little bit, overworking so that we can avoid focusing on the bigger, deeper, stressful things going on around us. Knowing that a little bit of alcohol will give us permission to just disengage. A little bit of pot does the same thing. Or whipping up a batch of cookies or a pie in the kitchen every day. Definitely all meet the criterion of an easy, creative, fun, fulfilling task that also gives us chemicals that feel good. So how do we find motivation when we are looking to change things that ultimately do feel good in the moment? That's what this entire video series is about. And so I'd like to start digging in a little bit deeper about what are the intrinsic motivations that we have for creating behavior change. Because when we're looking for sustainable change and doing the hard thing, we have to connect inward and say, why am I choosing this? Why am I foregoing my easy button and actually choosing to be uncomfortable in the moment? What's the benefit on the other side? Now, we live in a world that is focused on external motivation. I want to lose weight so that I look good and people find me attractive. I want to exercise so that I look good and people find me attractive. I want to do XYZ so that I am more acceptable to the outside world. I want to accomplish this task so that I get accolades for accomplishing the task. Yeah, external motivation is prolific. Internal motivation is much harder to find because frequently we're not taught how to be internally motivated as children. How to find our internal drive to create proactive, positive change. When you were little, what motivated you? What taught you to be motivated? Now, I certainly grew up in a household where grades were paramount. Education was number one. And I also had a number of learning difficulties that made it very, very hard for me to succeed. I know. You might not have guessed that. I love my little learning difficulties now. I think they're quaint and adorable, but I've done a lot of work on challenging my self-beliefs around being stupid and inept and inadequate. So as a child, I pushed myself to succeed and I would work endlessly so that I would get the pat on the head of good job. Those experiences cultivated in me what was known as a fixed mindset, an external locus of control, and a sense that I was only as valuable as the attention that I got from the outside world. Not good. Didn't feel very good in my internal world either. My head and my body did not feel good. And it took years of unwinding and undoing those experiences. Now, my parents did the best that they could. They are a product of their times. The way they raised me is how many, many children of the 80s were raised. I know I'm not alone in this. So it was a different time. True behavior change means looking inward and going, what is my internal motivation? To get there, first, I always like to start with what are the external motivation, the trigger points? What do you avoid? Because what we avoid has incredible information in it. Do we avoid discomfort? Do we avoid failure? Do we avoid letting people down or felt sense that we might let people down? That's really ultimately rejection. And what steps do we take to ensure that we can continue to avoid the hard things? It's when we go in here and look at the hard things that we start to truly cultivate what matters, our purpose. One of the techniques that I learned, and I forever will be grateful to one of my early psychologists for encouraging me to do this, is to write down My 3 key motivators. Why do I do the things I do? One list, 3 key motivators. Right next to that list, 3 desired outcomes. Why do you do the things you do? 3 reasons. Or 3 things that you do. And then your 3 desired outcomes. What are those 3 things? What are you seeking? And then how does this serve you? Now, when I did that list, my 3rd column was empty. It didn't serve me because I hadn't found my purpose yet. I knew what I did. I knew what I wanted. But when I had to really look at, did it align with my personal integrity and values? I came up with nothing. We are nothing without purpose. As Dr. Stephen Rudin says, the purpose of purpose is purpose. So I'd like to invite you to take a moment and do that. And hopefully your outcome's better than mine. That was a really startling experience for me. Now, granted, I was 21 years old. Yes, 21. So 20 years ago, I did that exercise. Whew, long time ago. And that created an inception point for behavior change in my life that changed my entire philosophy around how I live in my world. It is only through self-knowledge that we can create really proactive, positive change. So take a moment, go deeper, get to know yourself. Find your intrinsic internal motivation. And then let's build upon that for sustainable change.